Hey, what's good, people? This is episode 70. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. That's Rob McLean. The episode starts right now. Hated, I love it. The underdog's on top, and I'm gonna. You knew it. And I'm gonna. I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stops. Envy me. I'm rap's MVP, and I ain't going nowhere. So you should get to know me. What's up? This is episode 70. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, along with my man Rob. Keep it McLean. I'm your hostess with the mostest. I'm Jason DeBellis. Thanks for having us back. It has been a minute, my dude. What's up?
What's happening?
Hey, summer happened. Volleyball happened. You know, elite athletes got to do their thing. That happened. I traveled, right? I was coaching, doing some color commentary. I got some pretty big breaks. You got a pretty good partner. You're looking good out there, brother. You're looking good out there. So, hey, a lot to talk about. We want to talk about some of these celebrity shows, these YouTubers engage in combat sports, boxing people who are not necessarily in that wheelhouse. Of course, we got our NFL Pick 6. The NFL's back. I know you miss it. So do I. We got to shame or not to shame. But first things first. Rob McLean. The NFL is back. The NFL is back. I was so excited from Thursday all the way up to Sunday night, all the way up to Monday, because this is Sports Debate Tuesday, but we're pre-recording, but that's our dirty little secret. Very, very, very happy. I love the emotional highs and lows, so I'm gonna put the first subject question like this. Which game impressed you or excited you the most? We're gonna start with that. And then which game was kind of a disappointment? You go first with favorite game, and I'll go first with disappointment.
My favorite game actually was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. I was thoroughly surprised how bad the Falcons. I mean, they came out strong. You know, they had Cordell Patterson at running back now, looking great, but they just didn't put together as a team. But yeah, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, man. That was my biggest surprise, and the best thing I think that's happened all week was that, you know, he came out, he looked like one of the best quarterbacks this week at least, and yeah, he killed it. Their team looked great, running the ball, running the read option, throwing the ball. Every ball came out of his hands was clean. I mean, he looked like he had a fantastic game. So that was my favorite game of the week, just because, you know, a baller balled out and everybody doubted him, and he did his thing.
Yeah, man. Look, how about having Devontae Smith, man? Something about getting those Alabama receivers, man. And he had the best of both worlds, didn't he? He was at Alabama first 3 years, understood how defenses played and structure, and then that last year at Oklahoma, that guy's like, he's spitting out quarterbacks, right? From Kyler Murray to Baker Mayfield's
hmm
like 4 seasons, three great quarterbacks. So that's a really, really good pick. The game that excited me the most was the Thursday one, man. That was the Dallas Cowboys and that was the Tampa Bay Bucks. It was one of those things where if you have this, it's like a movie, right? When you have this all-star lineup, you're almost expected to be disappointed because there's just too many rock stars, and they sometimes you see a movie like that, they end up stinking up the joint. So when everybody does their job, and man, it's just great. And Dak Prescott did not disappoint, man. He's like 42 for 58, 403 yards, three Benny Bones, not bad. Passer rating 108. Now the disappointing part, I guess, is why the hell he had to pass 58 times when you got Cabo Zeke over there rushing for 33 yards is
There
beyond me.
you
But
go.
but the
There you
man,
go.
look, when the man knew his guy wasn't running, right? He had to par for the course, cowboy up, and then he did. That's the team I like the least, but It's kind of like the Yankees, right? You can't really boo Mariano Rivera. I mean, you got to be an idiot. And I feel the same way about Dak Prescott. He's out there and he's doing his thing, man. And he held out for his contract, got his money, and now that he's earning his money. And the only mistake he made was leave Tom Brady a minute 24 on the clock. You know, I know a lot of the Cowboy fans are like tweeting like, "Yeah, we got you. Talk now," and I'm like, you do know there's a minute 24 left, right? Against
Uh-huh.
Teflon Tom with an actual receiving core. It's not like you have to triple team like Edelman or Wes Welker or somebody.
Right.
This dude had a receiving core. Everyone was honed on Mike Evans, and he just killed it. Antonio Brown, 121 yards receiving in the score. Freaking Chris Godwin, 105 yards receiving. Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement, right? People want to come out of retirement and play for this guy. People want to restructure their contracts and take a pay cut to play with this guy. Why? Why? Because for one season, just for one season, one little taste, one little lick, one little bite, man, I want to be in that Super Bowl with a chance to possibly win or lose. And very, very much like LeBron James making the finals every damn year, you got Tom Brady making it to the Super Bowl, winning or losing every damn year. He's truly the GOAT. So it was the GOAT against the upstart, and neither one of them disappointed. I was galvanized. I was excited. Very, very hell of a start. Thursday night game, hell of a start. Now, as to the question of which one was my biggest disappointment, there are a whole bunch. There's the elephant in the room, Green Bay, but I'm not gonna go there. I'll go first, but before I give this answer, I will preface my comments by saying that I lack objectivity when it comes to this team, okay? I'm completely biased. I am not objective when it comes to my Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are a big disappointment. It was a team that, against Pittsburgh, who's well coached, Chase Claypool's a problem. Roethlisberger, was protected for the most part. He got hit a couple of times, and the running game's nothing to be scared about. And it's one of those things where if you know it's a low-scoring game, you don't go for it on fourth down. The both times that they went for it on fourth down resulted in a touchdown and a field goal. When they didn't have to. Sometimes if you're up 10-0, if the score is 10-6, you punt. It's okay, just punt. Because what happens when you go for the fourth down, you miss, right? It changes momentum, gives the other team, a little bit of a lift, right? The defense lifts the offense, and boom. So that was my big disappointment. Now I'm mowing through this because I know we still got the pick six. Rob, who was your disappointment?
I mean, I think it's for everybody. I think, Green Bay.
Say it with me.
So disappointing. Yeah, I mean, that game was because again, there were a lot of great games. I thought there was very few bad games this week. I mean, I thought even the Steelers and the Buffalo Bills came a little a little lower than expectation. It was a great defensive game. I thought it would have been maybe a little bit more offensive on the Buffalo Bills part, but great for the, Steelers. But yeah, for me, New Orleans Saints was even actually my biggest expectation, or my biggest surprise from this week. Jameis Winston coming out 4 TDs, 300 plus yards. I mean, what a what a stat line to come out first time, but that's what he's capable of. If he doesn't turn the ball over, that's the kind of stats he was putting up. He was just putting up 4 TDs and 4 interceptions. So that team is dangerous. I mean, that team is capable of winning a Super Bowl right now with a capable quarterback, and Jameis Winston's a much more than capable quarterback. But that's not even the big story. The big story is the best quarterback in the league put up 3 points. Maybe it's the lack of preseason. Maybe it's the lack of reps, but it's kind of inexcusable after how many years in the league. You kind of have the same dispute every year. I think it's kind of trash. So I don't know what Aaron's doing. Maybe he could have gotten traded this year. It would have been better off. But here we are. So disappointment, definitely.
It was a huge disappointment because, all right, he's supposed to be this bad man and this and that. And the only redeeming thing I got from the aftermath of this game is, like, when you have Green Bay Packers fans and you have, or just Aaron Rodgers fans that think this man can do no wrong, every time he wins, they celebrate him. And when then he loses, it's someone else's fault. Like last year, oh, you should have trusted your guy. Oh, that's a coaching mistake. Oh, they don't have a running game. They ran out of excuses with that because Aaron Jones was a beast last year,
Yeah.
though he wasn't a beast this last night, yesterday. So it was so cool and redeeming to actually have his own people hold his feet to the fire, say, hey, what the f, you know,
Right.
because very much like a lot of politicians that take credit for when everything goes good, and then when something goes bad, that's someone else's fault, you know. Can't blame the receiving corps, can't blame the running back, can't blame run protection. He just had a bad game, and if everyone just called it what it is, we can get on with life instead of just trying to defuse a bomb that's already exploded. So I co-sign with you. The whole nation co-signs with you. Big disappointment on that. That was our disappointing game. Um, it was weird because if I gave you the numbers and like erase the quarterbacks' names, right, you would have thought Winston's numbers were Aaron Rodgers.
Right, 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 right.
Right? If I just erase the quarterbacks' names and guess who did what, and you're like, Jay, stop playing with me, man. 5 touchdowns. That ain't Jameis Winston unless he got 5 picks next to it. So,
Did he
so
have five? He had five touchdowns.
he had 5 touchdowns. Yeah, let me.
Dang. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, let
You
me.
know,
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm gonna take a. I'm
but
taking a
but he
second
definitely
look.
does that.
I'm gonna take a second look, but defense. Yeah, five touchdowns. He only threw for like 180 something yards. So it wasn't. Yeah, five bones, five Benny bones, and 148 yards passing. Ran for 37
148,
yards,
five.
6 attempts. Hey, maybe you just run till you get to the end zone and just get.
I don't know. That's probably a lot of good defense there.
Yeah. Yeah, my boy Josh Allen, man, threw for 270. Devin Singletary, 72 stingy yards against a good run defense in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm just disappointed. Roethlisberger, 188 yards passing, but didn't throw a pick. Um, it's just one of those games. If it's an ugly game, man, you just gotta go ugly with it. Don't be out there doing something exotic when
Hmm.
everyone wants to be ugly. But good, hey, pretty much, hey, that was my second pick. But of course, like I said, I'm not objective when it comes to my Buffalo Bills. We're gonna revisit the NFL in a minute. Let's go to combat sports. Let's go to boxing. I guess should I say boxing slash MMA? All right. Over the weekend, you got Vitor Belfort, the Phenom, KO'd Evander Holyfield. I guess TKO. The ref stopped it. Standing TKO. The ref thought he took enough damage, and boxers always want to continue, but in their heart of hearts, they knew they were done. I mean, if the ref didn't get there, he's gonna get KO'd. So Rob Tito Ortiz knocks out. I mean, gets knocked out by Anderson Silva. And if you saw the last few seconds of that, remember? He's whoosh, whoosh, bow. Anderson Silva backed himself into a corner. You know how he does, right? And everybody
Hmm.
thinks he's like or he's trapped or he's scared, and he dodges a bunch of punches and then knocks you out. And Tito got face planted, dude. He got stiffened up,
Sure.
man. So the question with a lot of these celebrity matches coming, started by the Paul brothers, these YouTube sensations, are
Yeah.
these types of matches good for combat sports or bad for combat sports?
I mean, any type of, you know, uh, entertainment is probably good for combat sports because as big as, MMA has gotten, there's still a lot of issues that can be solved, talking about pay equality. And they do talk about pay equality, but, I think it's just, a ruse to kind of get people to respect um, honestly, it's a hustle because these aren't really even, I mean, they're sanctioned boxing fights because you're literally not allowed to promote a boxing match unless, they're sanctioned. But they're 3 5 round fights. That's not, boxing used to be 15, even 30 round fights. So now, you're shaving it down to a 12 round fight. Now you're shaving it down to a 5 round or a 7 round fight. It's
Or
kind of just
or
like,
2 minute 8 rounds. It was 8 rounds for 2 minutes each.
so it's like these aren't really even amateur fights. They should fight, people in their same weight classes. It's just there's so many things here that, get convoluted and I don't know. I don't think, as a purist, watching and really loving the sport, I don't really enjoy it, but I don't say he's bad. I don't say any of these guys are bad. It takes courage to step in the ring and step in and fight in big crowds. Like there's levels to it. So, um, props to them. But I don't really like it. I think it's good publicity because any publicity is good publicity. But I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest. Eventually, these guys are gonna fight. Stop. They're gonna stop doing it, or they're gonna fight somebody that's dangerous. That's actually a fighter that really wants to fight them.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All
But
right.
it's interesting.
Let me tell you a little story, okay? And bear with me on this because this is connected to it. I
Hmm.
had a bunch of friends that would play. They had this little in my office. We had this little basketball hoop, and we just took a whole bunch of scotch tape and made it into a ball to make it look like a basketball, right? So what they asked me if I wanted to play like $20 games or like so I was like let's play 50, let's play 50 or 100. So what I knew they were trying to do, I knew they were trying to get me to win. They're going to let me win the first game, right? And I win 50 and they're like, "Hey, you're pretty good. Let's go double or nothing," right? And then they knew that if they beat me the second game or third game, they thought that I would want to keep playing because my beginner's luck made me think I was better than I was. What I did, Rob, I won the first game. They gave me my $50, and they asked me, do I get my rematch? And I said, no, I'm good. They got so freaking pissed. All you want is money and this and that, and I'm just like, no, 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 dude. I saw it through you guys. What's the moral of the story? I think this is what the Paul brothers are doing. I think they're getting their money. I mean, their pay-per-view numbers have to be sick right now. They can fight Jeremy Piven, 2 months from now, probably get the same money. And I think when it comes down to fight a real fighter, I think one of them is like, I'm out, and the other one might bite the bait on the beginner's luck thing. Or whatever. I think so. I think it's going to be 1-1. Now, is it a question? Is it good or bad for the sport? I got to go with you, man. I think we're going to go 4 or 5 minutes into the subject and not actually answer the question. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is it puts butts in seats. All I know is I think some sports to survive, you have to find a way to put butts in seats. You put butts in seats, then you get sponsors because the butts in seats are going to look at the sponsors. They're going to be like, Colgate, did I brush my teeth today? You know what I'm saying? A KT tape? Yeah, I want some of that on my shoulder or whatever and this and that. We have the same problem in our sport, right? I mean, for indoor volleyball, why the city university championships, the CUNY championships generate more fucking money and more revenue than the NPSF does is a mystery, you know. And I guess the smaller your sport is, the more you have to do for yourself, right? Like
Hmm.
April and Alex won the gold, right? But they ain't out there doing for people. I think I think there's gold medalists. I'm gonna remember more than them 10 years from now. Though I think right now they're the most dominant team, and if they keep going, they might be the most dominant pair that ever played beach volleyball, right? I'm not saying that they're not nice. I'm not saying that they're not extroverted or this or that, but it's crazy that certain people are just better at that. And it's not that it's I guess I'm trying to put the onus on the best athletes to get out there and do what you got to do, whether it's through your agent or whether it's through your own little ass, to get out there and put their butts in seats. Because the point I'm trying to make of this argument, Rob, is that these people that are making the money aren't the best athletes. This is right. It's in front of us, plain as day. The Pauls are not best athletes, but the people that don't follow the sport might think that they're really good, and then the people who are really into the sport are insulted by it and they're offended by it, and they should be offended by it. They're offended because these guys found a way to entrepreneur themselves through YouTube and found themselves ways to make money in like 3 matches than a lot of these guys in the amateur and the professional scene who can probably clean their clock that are not making that money. So I think it starts from the top. Just like our sport, there has to be some kind of level of inclusiveness that opens up like the top players and the top people with the mid-level people, and everyone makes a pile of money. Conor McGregor, I don't think he was trying to do that. I think Conor McGregor was trying to do for himself, and then as a result, the rising tide lifted all ships. So once again, we're what, 7-8 minutes into this? I didn't answer the freaking question. Rob, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I definitely don't want to see, uh, Tito Ortiz or Evander Holyfield fighting, real seasoned, still fight. Vitor Belfort is, still a pretty active fighter. There was a clear difference between those two fighters.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a machine too. And he's the first
yeah,
MMA that had striking resume.
right.
I mean, Tyron
So
Woodley, he's got a right hand he's in love with, but Tyron Woodley was a wrestler first. Sorry, go ahead.
absolutely, no, absolutely, and same thing with like Ben Askren. Like that's not a real fight. He doesn't really know how to throw a punch. So it's
No.
like, when you're talking about, even Floyd Mayweather against, the older Paul,
Right.
I mean, like Floyd's not really known as a puncher, and if you're going to put a guy who is bigger by like 40 pounds and, taller by 4 or 5 inches, it really doesn't matter what you do. It's kind of like Rocky against, the big Russian dude, Drago. It's
I
like,
must break
they're,
you.
they're, yeah, like they're not in the same weight class. Why is that even a fight that's actually even happening?
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
Vitor,
yeah, I just
didn't Vitor say he's like the elephant's not the king of the jungle, the lion is, because Evander Wade more than he is, but he's like the
mm,
elephant's not the king of the jungle. Last time I checked, the lion was, and neither one whose last name is Paul is going to take a Vitor Belfort fight. No way, no way in hell. All right. His most risky fight was Tyron Woodley, and he knew he had the reach and he knew he had the size, and he probably thought he could survive a right Tyron's right hand of right, and if Tyron got it in, and Tyron did deck him once and did have him against the ropes. Probably would have been a knockdown if the ropes weren't there, but we might talk about that in shame or not to shame. I think we're going to repair that on that, but I think I don't know. I think we took this one as far as it could go. But let's revisit this at some point. But I think to answer the question, it's good for the sport because it's making people pay attention to the sport, but it's bad because these people, other people might think that just because the one that makes the most money is the best athlete, right? So, right, it's crazy. Like in our sport, I'm sure there's like three American athletes that probably make more money than Sharif, right? But Sharif's the better player,
for sure.
right? So
Well, I think it's just,
mhm,
especially in beach volleyball, I think it shows how far self-promoting can go.
mhm,
Where we're talking about, the 80s and 90s, they had purses double of what we
mhm,
have even today. So it can only, inflation-wise, it only imagine what actual money they were making back in the day. And that's just in America, you know.
mhm.
The international scene, again, they're doing a great job of, blowing the sport up, but it's all individual kind of sponsorships, and the players still have to self promote themselves to be able to get to that position. It allows for a lot of freedom, but it also allows for, it's hard to, get in that game. So it's yeah, it's I think volleyball is pretty decent where it is, but more self promoting, will get more revenue, which gets more events. It's just,
Yeah. I mean,
we got to
people.
become part of the
Yeah,
team.
we need names. Well, since we're doing volleyball next, we're going to visit the Olympics. We need names that transcend the sport, like very much like Hulk Hogan, right? If you never watch a day of wrestling, you know who Hulk Hogan is, right? MMA had Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey. You never watch an MMA match, their name transcends the sport. Volleyball, for the last 3 decades, the three names that transcend the sport are Misty May, Kerry Walsh, and Karch Karai. And none of them even play any. They don't even play the sport anymore. So, right, Phil. Okay, yeah, the guy with the bald head. That guy. That's who my friends who don't play the sport. No, whatever. Hoping April and Alex can do it because April and Alex sometimes you could be a quiet team and you let your play do the talking, you let your dominance do the talking. April is kind of a bubbly personality, so I'd like to see her come out or whatever. I'd also like to see her say hi back to some people. Someone says hi, stop looking at them like they got 9 heads. I'm on my podcast literally calling out the best player in the world, but come on, man, stop that. Someone says hi, say what's up. They could be a fan. It would mean everything in the world, or they could be someone like me, like her contemporary, who's covering the game and who's commentating on the game and who's coaching in the AVP. So, just little things like that, right? Like Even Shaquille O'Neal in Central Park said, "What's up?" Didn't and doesn't know me. So, but yeah. So hey, let's stay with them. We're closing the door on combat sports. We're opening the door on the Olympics. It's our wheel house. Brick house reference. The question as to the 2021 Olympics, let's start with the women. Women's indoor won the gold. Our women's beach team won the gold. Team Slays did really well in pool, came out, really went Drakari's mode in 2 tournaments before the Olympics. Congratulations to them for making it, and Frog Leap and Carrie and Brooke. Both worthy second teams. I think they probably would have finished the same spot anyway, right? I think both teams would get out of pool. I think you'll agree with me on that. So, Rob, my question is, were we surprised or not surprised that both teams took gold for women?
I was surprised that the indoor women's, took gold, in that their system is really complex, and I was really interested in the choices they made for the people that were on the court, and then Courtney Thompson, or I can't remember her name, right? But she got injured. She was on the right side. She got injured.
Yep. Then the setter got injured. Or hurt,
the setter got hurt, and then she came back, and then Micah
Hancock.
Hancock, she had a fantastic game. I think it was against Italy, and then they brought back Poulter, and so they definitely had an idea what they wanted to do, and Annie Drews came in and killed it at the end, and I don't know, yeah, I was surprised at that, but not surprised. I don't know. They had a really great mix of people and team and chemistry, and so I was really happy to see that. The beach women, I don't think it was a surprise. I just think it was they pretty much dominated. And sometimes in the Olympics, as hard as the field is, it almost makes it easier sometimes because you have some tough games in pool. You got some tough games, in the first round, second round. And you might not face maybe the toughest team, or you might face the toughest team in the round of 16. It's such a toss up.
It works like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and April and Alex did a really good job of recognizing which games are really important, and which games they really have to buckle down and do their things, and then which games they can kind of just be loose and do what they normally do. And I think they just did a great job of executing, and they're the number one team, and I think it was expected, but they also really did a great job of shutting the door on everybody and just delivering. So I think I'm not surprised by either of them. I'm kind of more surprised at how the men's finished, but I think the women's was much deserved, well earned, and I'm glad to see it.
Me too. Look, I'm not surprised for the indoor women's team because I thought they came in as the number one seed in 2016, 2012, and 2008. They come in with high expectations. They usually, for the last decade and a half, they've been coming in as a top 1 or 1A. Brazil was good or whatever. The Chinese women, I think they won in 2016. And there's something to be said about the pressure of win gold or it's a fail. You know what I'm saying? Bronze they might have been a little happy about because there were other teams in 2016, but 2012, 2008 they had a genuinely great chance of winning. And Karch was kind of around at the scene of the crime as an assistant, or whatever, and they did it. So I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I'm still elated because it doesn't feel real. It never feels real, Rob, until the last play, until it's over. And until they're celebrating, you see the tears and whatever in the post-match interview with Karch when he got choked up and he kind of like opened up a little bit. He's an introverted cat. You cry with him. So as to being surprised, no. But at the same time, I was still trying to take it in. You give right. It's like you're taking it in as if you're surprised they won. But maybe because it didn't feel real, and I felt like they won for everybody that got close. All those teams that got close, this is like that was for them. They all won. We all won. I followed them. You followed them. We won, Rob. That was the team that I liked about this because I felt like if they won, like everyone that takes the journey with them, the ups and downs, I feel like we all won. And that, man,
Hmm.
that's what sports is all about. That's what good elite athletes and good coaching is all about. They take you on this journey. You decide to follow them on this journey. You follow them on the ups. You follow them on the downs. And if they lose and if they're hurting, you're hurting with them. Right? Why are you hurting over someone you never met in your life? Because that's sports, right? Why are you crying because somebody else won a medal for themselves? Because that's sports. I mean, Jesus Christ, you have a fucking pulse, right? So that's the indoor team. Women's team, not surprised. 2019, they came in as 1 or 1A with the Canadians. 2020, it seems like things changed a little bit. And then 2021, if you remember Cancun, they got the brakes beaten off of them by a couple of teams, twice by the Aussies, who won one of those Cancun tournaments. And then all of a sudden, they lose the three to their own counterparts in the USA against Team Slays. And then Duda and Agatha finish, and you're like, all right, if they win, I'm not surprised, but man, that was rough. But you, like you said, they were playing their best volleyball at the right time, and sometimes how these pools work out and the path from after pool play to the championship against a team that's a stylistic nightmare for them, like the Aussies. You couldn't have picked a stylistically worse match for the two of them, and they just blew through it by a lot. That was almost anticlimactic because of how the score looked. So not surprised. All right, let's go with the men. We ain't shitting on Too Bitty so hard, okay? Because we're all men and these are contemporaries. I'll go first and I'll be short. I'm not surprised with the men's team because I pay attention to the world scene and I see in so many ways where the rest of the world is caught up and inevitably past us. I knew we had the best setter in the world in Micah Christensen, which, by the way, was a consensus by the world players. So it's not just like USA falling in love with each other. I liked Matt Anderson on the right side, but I didn't love him as far as sustainability is concerned. I knew he could win a couple of matches. Didn't like the tandem of outside hitters. They're both kind of like OH1s, and you really need one guy who's a better ball control guy and one guy who's the more explosive. In my experience as a coach, the championship teams have those players. Jiba and Dante, Karch and Stavertlik, Reed Pretty, Riley Salmon. And so I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that they didn't get out of pool. I was disappointed that they lost to not Venezuela, Argentina, right? But Argentina played good in system ball. And Sparad decided to spread the block, and when you spread the block, that means you're kind of hoping your middle humps it out because the middles have size, but those middles were on suicide watch by the time Argentina's middles were done. So that's the indoor scene. Outdoor scene, zero surprise. I knew Phil and Nick would get out of pool. I knew Taylor. I knew Triborn and Jake would get out of pool. But we did not expect any of them to get past the round of 32 or 16. 32 or 16, if they won, they won. If they didn't, they didn't. Right? We knew that Jake and Tri were not going to beat Qatar. We knew they were going to come out second. And it was just a matter of who they were playing for second and third. We knew Qatar stylistically. Even Taylor and Jake were a bad match. I think even Taylor, Jake, and Tri playing 3 against 2 are a bad match against Qatar because Ahmed was balling. Okay? Ahmed was a straight up G. So not surprised. Your floor is yours for the men.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but men indoor, yeah, I think individually we have great players. Still a little suspect in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Max was hurt or,
Yeah.
they subbed in David Smith when I thought, Stahl was kind of starting to get it going.
Yeah, UCLA cat.
Mm-hmm. But again, we can't talk about nothing until we talk about, of course, the outside dynamic, but it's the serving, like I don't know what that was all about. They were talking about before the Argentina game that Matt Anderson came up to the coaching staff and was asking them about, do you want us to serve our hardest or do you want us to serve a spot? And Sparrow was saying that he doesn't know, that they should tell him. And I mean, this is before the Argentina game. So I heard
You
that.
had 4
and I
years
was
to
like,
figure that out. Sorry, go ahead.
what? Yeah. You have like 7 high-level Division I level coaches, like you guys can't figure out if you're serving spaces or you're not game planning against a team who you're serving. You know what I mean? That's back in 2008 when I was playing club ball. Hey, this guy can't pass. Let's serve him. You know,
Mhm.
this guy is a really good swinger. Let's put the pressure on him to pass the ball well for the rest of the team. You know, like that's just like, simple business. So like if you're not talking about serving seams, you're not talking about, it just and then so it makes sense why, the best serves they had were anything that was in the court. I mean, Mitch Stahl rolled the ball over the net and they got an ace, but then they can't serve float serves. It's just I don't know. Like it seemed like the focus on the first touch was not present, on
Right.
that side of the ball. And then
Mhm.
you're talking about offense. Yeah, I don't think, and I'm not saying TJ or Taylor did bad,
Nah,
you know,
TJ was a
but
stud. I thought TJ was playing over
right.
his head, and he played like a stud.
But that's what I'm saying. Who would you rather have, Taylor Sander or TJ DeFalco?
As my explosive guy or my ball control guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like if we're even having this question, it should be one or the other.
Agreed.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's I think the issue is that they both played well, but they both needed the ball to play well.
Hmm.
And then you got Matt Anderson sitting on the back set, who it doesn't matter if he's 40, it doesn't matter. He's 6'11". He has a good approach. He snaps his wrist at the top of top of his reach. He's the best player on the
Would
court.
have
It
loved to
doesn't
see him
matter
set him
who's
more.
there.
Yep.
Set him more.
Hmm.
Set him more. Set him back row. Set him front row. Sets off the net. Set him the ball. You're only going to get a tough play or a ball back. And so that's why I'm saying it just seemed like there was too many options for Micah to really get the ball where he needed, because at the end of the day, you pass well to run the middle, and you're
Oh.
almost like aching for them to run the middle. But it's like, well, when do you get the ball to Matt? When do you get the ball to TJ? When do you get the ball to Taylor on the Bic? When do you get the ball to TJ on the Bic? It's like, there's just too many options where I don't think it was stressed enough on the ball control. You're putting so much pressure on Shoji to be a passing specialist when, in my eyes, he's more of a defensive specialist.
Thank you, a defensive
You know,
specialist. Yep.
right? And so you have two not primary passing outsides and a necessarily not primary passing libero, and then you're asking Matt Anderson to scoot back into a four-man receive, who is not a primary passer really, and that's not his number one skill, and he's getting aced on a short ball.
Yeah.
It's just like those things. If I'm watching the game, it's really difficult to watch. It's
It
very,
was.
very difficult to watch.
Well, it was difficult to watch. First of all, big up to TJ DeFalco, because coming in the Olympics, I'm like, this dude's in over his head and he's gonna get house. But he played like an absolute stud. He played with a big pair
For
of balls
sure.
between his legs, and for that, man, he's got it. I am converted. I went to the church and prayed, and I'm a DeFalco dude right now. And you're right, because take the ability to take care of first hit, man. They were even free balls they were passing backwards to the 10-foot line. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you got Micah Christensen, who can hit on two with both hands,
Right.
who could definitely be disruptive to defense, because we saw them play in the World League. We saw what they can do, and that's where the disappointment came from.
Exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, in the commentary team, before you start insulting Venezuela and calling them the Carolinas conference of the Olympics, let's make sure we get our own fucking team out of pool play. Okay, how about that? Some nerve. Damn, I'm doing it again. But I'm a carry the water on this one. That's me. I said it. Okay. Beach.
Yeah, for the men's beach,
Love trying Jake.
I was really happy with the way they looked. I felt like, and I feel like this kind of happens is like you kind of have that first kind of game or two with a new team or a new teammate, and it's kind of like you're both trying to ball out to prove to each other or to prove, this is supposed to be right on the court. And then you kind of like settle in. You're like, wait, what are we best at? We're kind of getting a little tired. We got to give up something here, something there. Like, what are we trying to scheme? What are we trying to do? And I feel like that's like where they kind of lost their, ability. Where, not saying they're not IQ heavy, but Try's been playing a lot of, split blocking. So it's a little bit of defense, a little bit of blocking. He's been even blocking more primarily. Going out there playing divas. I thought he looked fantastic.
Look good. Hitting 900, man. You didn't even want to serve the
Yeah.
guy. Like,
Well, yeah,
in
that's
pool
what I
play, he
mean.
was hitting
Like,
900 or some crazy shit.
hey, I mean, he did play left side for indoor. It's
Yep.
a comfortable swing. It's right-hander. He's got a great swing anyway. He's a big guy.
Trojan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
hmm Yeah. So I think I really liked what I saw from defense. It's going to be really interesting to see what he chooses in the next 4 years. Like, does he match up with Taylor? Does he stay with Trevor? Does he, find some big guy to go block for him? So it'd
Yeah.
be really interesting to see.
I'm a fan of those two. I'm a volleyball for everybody listening. I'm a volleyball purist. I'm not a fan of the players as much as I'm a fan of the sport. Anyone playing at any level, I'm there. I'm watching. I'm talking about it. I'm critiquing fairly, and I'm praising when I deem necessary. So if you see me teasing like them play, they can't beat the Qatar people 3-on-2. I'm having a little fun here, okay? I'm not saying, oh, that's true. I'm just having a little fun, all right? Because the fact of the matter is, if I had to pick a couple of male players and a couple of female players, I'm a fan of Trevor Crabb. Boy, you're gonna have to work on me a little bit. But Trevor Crabb's gotten so many more tools in the toolbox. Though his brother is this amazing defender. I'm a fan of Chrissy Jones. And I'm a fan of, as far as the American team, because international I could go all day. TKN, Cloth and Nuss. So those. So if I'm like a fan or following someone, those are actually the actual people. I'm like, dude, I'm a fan. And John Mayer, who doesn't play anymore, but yeah, but again, we weren't surprised, right? We knew going in. We saw at least with the men, there was this momentum where you already knew who the top four were going to be. Right, you knew the Russians were going to be there. You knew Qatar, made the finals like four out of the last five tournaments. Maybe they felt like they underachieved, didn't make it to the finals. But to them, honestly, I talked to Sharif, had him on the podcast. He's just happy to have a medal because he said, I'm just getting started. He's like he thinks he's going to be the next Olympics and the one after that. So he's like, all right, bronze, all right, next time. By the way, cool dude, man, cool dude. You'd love that dude. If you ever played in the American tour, you should play with him. So
I'm down.
shut the door on volleyball. If I hurt some people's feelings, um, tough shit. All right, next. Pick six, NFL pick six, Rob McLean. First of all, Kelly Campbell, who's our first our competitor, challenged the host. Kelly was our first person last year. She was a perfect 6-0 last year. Not so much this year. 4-2. I'm 4-2. Rob keeping McLean was almost neat and clean. 6-0. He was 5-1. Lost with the Buffalo Bills, like we all did. So Rob, sorry, I'm gonna keep this ball rolling. Pick six. Let's start with the New York Giants versus the Washington Football Team. They got a
Man,
quarterback situation, don't they?
Chase Young looked good, man.
Didn't he?
Young looked good. But Washington's quarterback got hurt. It's Chad Henne.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chad Heineke or Chase Heineke, whatever his name is.
Yep.
I'm going to pick the Giants on this one.
I think, they got a quarterback problem. Daniel Jones hits his stride. I think their defense is really, really good against the run, but not against mobile quarterbacks. I picked the G-men on this. Buffalo Bills at Miami. I'll go first. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go, Buffalo. Come on, man. I got against Miami. They're facing Miami. Miami played a really good defensive game against Bill Belichick, but nobody on Belichick's roster is Josh Allen, and I'm going with the Bills.
I know you're not going to like me on this one, but I'm going to have to go with Miami. I think Miami is, this is their year. This is their year to kind of show up and start showing people, and this would be a great way to start doing it, I'm sorry, but got to go with Miami here.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear it.
Ooh, you can't hide from me, Rob McLean. Next time I see you. Third one. Let's go Houston against Cleveland. Let's go Houston Texans against the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, Cleveland looked good last week, and so did Houston.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so. But I'm probably gonna go with Cleveland on this one.
Yeah, I'm going Browns. I think they right what went wrong against a very good Kansas City team, and they fixed that. They could very well finish first in that division full of savages. Speaking of the division full of savages, Cincinnati, the Bengals visit the Chicago Bears. Who you got?
I'm going Bengals. I mean, I love what Joe Burrow's doing over there, and it's good stuff. So I'm gonna have to go with the Bengals.
Yeah, until these guys fix their quarterback situation. Is it Justin Fields? Is it Dalton? Is it this guy, that guy? Nah, I go with Burrow. I go with the Bengals and Bengals over the Bears. Game number 5, San Francisco 49ers against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go first on this. I like San Francisco's defense. I like Garoppolo when he's in a good mood. And I really, really like this team on the road. I'm going San Francisco.
Yeah, I, I don't
You
know.
like
It's
your
hard to
Hurts.
say,
Come on,
man.
you like your Hurts. Come on, you got
I
to go
do.
against me. Otherwise, ain't nobody going to take no lead, Rob. Come on.
I'll go with Philly. I'm down with it. I'm down with
Bing!
it.
Shushing!
All right, we'll
Yes.
see. We'll see. We'll see. That mobile quarterback.
Yep. And last game of the pick six, we got the Dallas Cowboys visiting the LA Chargers. Dak Prescott playing good football. The Chargers, another Justin, right? Playing good football. Well, not that other Justin, but who you got?
Yeah, I will never pick the Cowboys. So I'm gonna be going with the Chargers, and
Mm,
I'm gonna be rooting for an LA team.
yes. Some way, somehow, when you count on the most, they will let you down. Well, guess what? This week I'm doing it. Going Cowboys. Cowboys to visit LA. Man, they're gonna run me out of LA, man. I live like we live like 25 miles from that spot. Oh man, shame on me for picking the Cowboys. No shame on you for picking the right thing, but I gotta take some chances here. Speaking of shame or no shame, that's gonna be our next topic. Rob McLean, I give you, and ladies and gentlemen, I give you to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
All right, here we go, Rob. Let's see what I got. That's me. That's you. That's our clock. We got it. So, Rob, to shame or damn, I did it again. Sorry. Let's do that and that. To shame or not to shame. This is what happens when you check your own show. Tyron Woodley loses to Jake Paul. Shame or no shame?
Um, no shame. I think it's a pretty scripted fight, and yeah, it's only a 3 or 5 round fight. It's not really a real fight, so uh, I mean, in time constraints. So yeah, it's not really my favorite fight to watch, and I really didn't watch much of it. It just seemed kind of
Right.
boring, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about
Dude,
that.
look, we ain't gonna spend a whole minute apiece on this, okay? I'm gonna go shame, 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 and I'll tell you why. Tyron Woodley, we've seen him in fights where he's in the corner and he wants to get off his hands and he refuses to get off. We saw him do it against Rory McDonald. We saw him do it against the Kamaru Usman to lose his title. We saw him do it against Gilbert Burns, and he has zero excuse on this because it's not like one of the Paul brothers were gonna take him down. He shouldn't have been worrying about these guys changing levels. You have a big right hand that could shake the gods. Use your freaking right hand. Shame. Shame. Honk my horn. Shame. Yeah, man, I'm fired up today, huh? Full of piss and vinegar. All right, hey, so the next subject matter before we go to our conclusion is quick question. Quick question. All right, so Rob, quick question. Will the Dolphins win the AFC North? Yes or no?
Yes,
Nice. I got to go no. I give it to the Buffalo Bills.
I know you do.
Next time you come with that same energy. Rob, quick question: is Kansas City back in the Super Bowl this season?
Yeah, better protection and a toughened defense for sure.
Yeah, I think they're back. I got to go in an enthusiastic yes on that. Rob, quick question: who wins between Anthony Smith this weekend? UFC has a house show, but the main event concentrating on the main event. Ryan Spann or Anthony Smith? Pick me a winner.
Um, I'll go Ryan Spann.
Nice. I think I'm gonna go Anthony Smith. He's got more tools in his toolbox. I see Ryan Spann taking him down, and I see him getting triangle choked. Quick question: Did Djokovic's loss at the U.S. Open actually gain him some fans?
Mm, um,
What a roar! I'll go first on this one. I say yes.
yeah,
I think if he wins that, I think there's still a buzz. He doesn't have as many haters, but just the level of class, people think it's not real. It's not authentic, and that's where some of the vitriol comes from. But I got to go yes. I think he gained some fans. Sometimes you got to gain some fans losing.
I think he did not gain fans because I don't think it was ever his etiquette or his behavior on the court. It's always been his behavior off the court.
Mm,
So I don't think anything would have really changed last night. I think he might have maybe even made fans because people like famous people,
mm.
and the more famous you are, the more they like you. But um, yeah, I don't think he made any people like him more or less last night. I think it was just people that like him a little more because they see even in defeat he's the same person, but outside the sport is where his issues always usually lie.
Right. I agree. Hey, quick question, Rob. Will Carmelo Anthony actually help the Lakers, hurt the Lakers, or no effect at all?
Any shooters will help the Lakers. LeBron and AD don't shoot threes. I mean, of course they can, but that's not their thing. Yeah, you got a 3-point shooter, it's gonna be good. You got a 6'8" 3-point shooter, it's gonna be even better. So just
I
keep him on the 3-point line.
If you asked me, or if we asked each other this question 2 years ago, I would have been like, hell no, he's done. He should be playing in China. But the guy resuscitated his career, became a Blazer, had a good old time out there, and everybody loved him, and Portland loved him. And here he is with the Lakers, playing with the guy that he grew up with the guy who always grew up playing basketball with and against, the guy who he's always wanted to play with. And I think this is a great way for him to finish his career. Hey, maybe they both retire together. Maybe they win another ring, go off in the sunset. But for now, that answer is yes. Last quick question. Was Whistlegate at Shea Stadium a real thing or manufactured?
Whistlegate? What is
Yankees
that?
and Mets. Basically, a guy accused the Yankees of whistling a number of times to give away their pitching signals. And the Yankees are like, you're out of your freaking mind. And when the guy hit a home run, he started whistling. And then Stanton hit a home run. Is like, I could do it too. And then he hit another home run, and the Mets eventually won. So since you didn't see it, I guess I'll carry this for both of us. I don't think. I
Sure.
think it's manufactured. I think it's bullshit. I just think you're gonna hear a lot of whistles. I think the whistle is more to just to distract someone. No, it wasn't a smoke signal. I mean, this isn't the goddamn Cherokee tribe in Cleveland. It's the Yankees, for Christ's sakes. No, we don't cheat like that. We use performance enhancing drugs and then deny and throw reporters under the bus for it. That's the Yankee way. Um,
For sure.
last quick question. Conor McGregor had an altercation with Machine Gun Kelly. I guess some kind of white rapper or whatever. You didn't see that either, right? that was
I
just a few
did,
hours ago. Was
unfortunately,
that
very
was that
unfortunate.
a work between the both of them?
I
Or
don't know. I mean, I think it's more just Connor is
he's
a
looking for that
really,
W.
yeah,
He's still
right.
searching
I
for that
think
dub.
I think Connor is just honestly like a really immature person, and he lashes out at people that don't respect him because he feels as though he's earned everyone's respect. Which, and this actually goes back to the Paul conversation. Is it good for boxing? It's not good for boxing because they're trolling boxing. They're saying, I'm a boxer, because I've done it for a year or two. It's not boxing. Boxing's a lifestyle. It's like the guys that used to run up in the gyms and try to fight boxing instructors. You know what I mean? Because they think they can box. And then a boxing instructor beats the hell out of them and say, you can't just come into a gym and do this. Nowadays you can just buy that boxing instructor and take private lessons and become a boxer. But I think that could, like we're saying, desecrates the sport. Going back to what we're talking about now, it's just don't, you got to have some integrity. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
If you don't, it's okay, but no, that's your choice that you're doing anything to get anybody to watch you, and that's, I feel like the problem with Conor McGregor is he brought so much bad blood into the sport that
And didn't we see this
all
coming?
he's going to get back. Yeah, we did.
Didn't we see
Everybody
that?
talked about it too.
Didn't
Like, you're going to
but
get back what you want.
yep.
You want this smoke, you're going to get it back. And he did because he wasn't ready for it. He boxed Mayweather, and people said it too. You boxed Mayweather, you got $100 million. you don't really need to fight anymore. You
Mhm.
know, you should have just hung it up then and said, I won. I beat everybody because I got $100 million in the bank. But no, he had to have an ego and prove that he needed to be a fighter. And that's okay. But recognize, and I don't think he recognized. I think he just expected to step back in the octagon and fight how he did pre boxing. And
Mm.
your footwork's different, your eyesight's different. The things you're thinking about are different. Um,
Well, he
I think he
lost.
should have just
Yeah.
he lost a lot of things when he went to boxing, or he just trained for boxing, because you could tell he trained hard for boxing. He was trying to win that fight. He really, and that, more to him, but he had all that time off. I don't think he was spending it trying to prepare for the octagon again. I think he spent it trying to decompress from all the shit he just got. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, sorry about a quick question, but
No, that's
um,
no, because we spilled onto something else.
yeah, it's just, I think
Mm.
Connor in the did the best possible thing. He kind of trolled, you know, MMA in a sense, but the Pauls are just desecrating a sport that's already dying. And
Mm.
it feels good now, it sounds good now, but what happens when they get caught or decide to stop doing it, or maybe they are taking PEDs and they get caught for that? What if any of those things happen and then they're out of boxing, and
Mm.
then there's no people really watching anymore because all they really want to watch is that dumb bullshit?
Yeah.
So
I wonder if they even
now at the
tested.
end of the day, well, even that, at the end of the day, it's not something that's going to last.
No.
You know what I mean? It's a quick money grab. Like you said, they're going to get their money and get out.
Yeah.
And then it leaves fighters for what? It makes them look kind of dumb, because now it looks like a circus. It looks like it's unprofessional. It looks like anybody could do it, and then who's going to buy after that? So it's like, I just think they're trolling and kind of vulturing off of, something that is beautiful. It's a sport. It's an art, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, for as far as Connor goes, it's really, really hard to get up in the morning when you have $100 million in the bank. All right, when you're in those satin sheets, you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm on. You got the phone in the bed, or you got enough money. Someone brings you the phone in the bed, and just all right, turn around. I need to talk. And we called this because we wanted to make sure when shit went wrong, we wanted to see if Connor was going to play the victim, right? Or if he's gonna come with that same
Oh,
energy,
wow. Yeah.
And right now, and it's weird because he's doing both. He is coming with that same energy, but at the same time, he's also playing the victim, you know.
Well,
And
because he's losing.
yeah, of course.
We haven't really seen him lose.
But we knew that was gonna happen because the best ability in mixed martial arts is availability. While he was sitting there boxing and doing his thing, taking another year to fight Khabib and get choked out, Dustin Poirier, the diamond, was actually sculpting his diamond. He was in there in the cage with Justin Gaethje, which is like a fight of the year. And before that, he was in the cage with Eddie Alvarez. So I mean, just getting it in. And Khabib, he had Khabib close. I mean, Khabib doesn't tap. So, but when he had him in that guillotine choke, I mean, everyone got out of their seats. So he faced Max Holloway. So the whole time Conor fought, what, 2 times? Floyd Mayweather lost. Khabib Nurmagomedov lost. Dustin Poirier was 4-1, only losing to the GOAT, or that 155 GOAT. So we knew that was going to happen. We just wanted to see how he was going to react, So that's the end of a quick question, guys. But before we go, echoing the sentiment to my volleyball brethren, this whole thing I was talking about, like, just be nice to people. I want you to realize, because some people make it a false dichotomy. Oh, Jay, you want me to go up and say, oh, hi, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time. No, I'm not asking you to do that either. There's somewhere between making like someone's your best friend or cold shoulder and someone like they're total strangers is this gray area. If someone says good morning, you could just say hi like a mammal. The only thing I ask of my volleyball brethren, coaches, commentators, just behave like mammals. We're all on the same team. And then a lot of people won't say hi to me because sometimes I'm critical of the people that I like. But I think that comes with the territory too, right? Rob, I can still like you and be critical of your game. What the hell? What kind of, unwritten rule says that you're not allowed to fairly criticize someone that you like, right? Criticize volleyball players with volleyball. So 2 things I wanted to say was, If you dish it, you got to be able to take it. I can. And two, just be nice. It doesn't, in a sport where we're still trying to make something out of this, it really, it would be really nice just for some fan out there who says hi or whatever. I had my daughter at Hermosa Beach, and I was like, wow, that's a volleyball player. Say hi. And Braxton said hi, and the player didn't say anything back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna out this player. But I'm like, what a scumbag move. It would have been so much, it would have been like everything in the world. Like if I was just a fan, a guy who was interested in the sport, and my daughter did that, I'm like, I'm not watching no volleyball. I could get the same thing from the NBA, So, but I guess my message is, before we go, just be nice. You don't have to save the world and feed the hungry. When I say be nice, you don't have to rescue someone if they're in financial need, or get into some kind of business deal from some guy rolling up to you on the beach that might want something from you other than just a hello. Be nice. That's all I got. Rob, is there anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
Be safe, be happy, yo.
I thought you'd forget it. Dude, it's been so long since you said that. I'm like, I bet he's got to remember it. I bet Rob's got to reach back and come get that. But no, you didn't. You said it the same way you said it the last episode, and the episode before that, and the episode before that, and the episode before that. Rob, I love you to death, man. I'm miss doing this episode. All right. And we'll see you all next week, guys. For all of you at home, for all of you at your iPad, Starbucks, for all of you on your Droid, desktop, and mobile device watching this, thank you so much for having us in your living room and in your life. This is Rob. Keep it McLean. I'm Jason DeBiss. This is episode 70 of Sports Debate Tuesday. We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.